pleasant good morning on this bright and what I would consider to be lustily morning. Yes, after Emancipation yesterday, but I thought it was incumbent upon me and frankly an imperative to really have a conversation, even though this may well be classified as a monologue. You see, yesterday, the 188th anniversary of Emancipation cannot and must not be seen as an ordinary day for the African community in particular. I have spent all of my adult life, and that is no exaggeration, fighting and finding ways and means to generate the level of consciousness, self-consciousness, family consciousness, neighborhood consciousness, village consciousness, and clearly, ultimately, national consciousness. We have had some successes, I must say, and indeed, the Emancipation Support Committee, while it has led the way after many what I consider to be, cannot be false starts, but certainly incremental efforts to bring about a commonality of consciousness and a celebration worthy of the entire African diaspora, whether it's here in Trinidad, or put another way, whether it's here in Port of Spain, whether it's San Fernando, whether it is Arima, whether it is Point Fortin, and indeed Tobago. But as we do that, and as more and more become more conscious of a particular day which Trinidad and Tobago has pioneered, 1985, the day was declared officially in Trinidad and Tobago as a public holiday, as indeed we have been able through our own volition, our own efforts, our own consciousness, our own strategy, and our own tenacity. We also have, of course, the spiritual Shouter Baptist Liberation Day. But in spite of those achievements, there is more to be done. We are still lagging in terms of academics, in terms of vocational skills, in terms of housing accommodation, in terms of health and family, what I consider to be camaraderie and consciousness. But in contemporary Trinidad and Tobago, there is a burning need for the African diaspora in Trinidad and Tobago to participate in the economic development and advancement of Trinidad and Tobago. Less all of the gains that would have been made. Let me repeat, less all of the gains that would have been made will either deteriorate. I will not go as far as to say rendered null and void and of no effect, because there will be some residual, some fragmented attachment or consciousness or engagement in the economic life of Trinidad and Tobago. What is critical, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is that there must be a renaissance, and therefore the social and economic, cultural, and academic advancement of the African community must not just be a work in progress, but a work that can see in the immediate, medium, and long term as benefiting the Trinidad and Tobago African community. I say so without fear of contradiction. You see, that will determine the social standing, the quality of life, the standard of living, which every Trinbagonian aspires, whether or not it becomes a normative appreciation or a normative experience of the African community. Very, very, very crucial. It is as a consequence of my commitment to all of the above. I thought, whilst everybody was talking post yesterday, I thought I should do what in essence some may call a post-mortem or an evaluation, so as to generate the level of consciousness in the main for moving forward. It is the 188th anniversary of the emancipation in, of course, the British Empire colonial scenario. We know that our sisters and brothers as well in the French and the Portuguese territories would have had their different dates on which emancipation came, particularly our comrades, colleagues, and genetic attachment in Brazil. But whether that is so or not, and whether that has become part of our history, something we cannot avoid, what is crucial is where we are today and how we move forward. It is clear that the Emancipation Support Committee has much, much more to do. I was particularly pleased that the Minister of Culture made a commitment with respect to outstanding matters that may have or would have engaged the ministry by virtue of that entity. The rest of us have given the authority, so to speak, without challenge, the responsibility of the Emancipation Support Committee to advance the African cause in every respect. And while I understand the difficulty in a cosmopolitan Trinidad and Tobago, where resources are limited but frankly sufficient for the equitable distribution, it cannot be said, or put another way, it has to be said that the African community has not gotten its fair share. Of course, fair share here means that there must be an effort to acquire same. It cannot be that because you are, or put another way, we are the second or the first or among at least the largest group in the society, that it means that we must automatically be given equal share of the national Trinidad and Tobago pie. No. It has to be that we can earn it, and we must earn it. You see, I have been grappling for many years now with the fact that in our own communities, we are made to believe too often than not we cannot be businessmen, we cannot be pilots and doctors and lawyers, we cannot gain government to the extent to which we can control the commanding heights of the economy, the political sphere, and decision making. And I say so because there is good evidence, there is good precedent to give credence to that fact. We have seen a political entity called the PNM control the commanded heights of decision making from a public and political perspective since 1956. And that was effectively broken in 1986. But when one looks at the accomplishments, not one Trinbagonian in general, and the African community in particular, because there is, as I said, credence, there is reasoning, there is evidence to show that we have not done well. And when it comes from a prime minister, in this case, the former prime minister of this country, I'm talking about Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, on a previous Emancipation Day speech, said that he is disappointed with the African community because we are at the lowest rung of the socio-economic ladder. What an embarrassment. You may ask the question, embarrassment for whom? Well, I want to say generally for all Africans, and specifically for the PNM. Because if it is by virtue of acquiring public office and government for all of this period, one would have expected that at minimum, the African community ought to have been economically much more advanced, much more competitive, much more wealthy, and therefore taking its place equitably, equally among the other communities that have advanced economically and wealth collection or creation, or even advancing their cause to the appreciation and satisfaction of the general Trinbago community. Unfortunately, that has not happened. I'm not going to be long because I don't want to burden you, because much of the issues that I've raised here are well known to both you and the wider society. Only to say, only to conclude that work must continue, that we have a duty and responsibility to our children and our children's children to lay the foundation now, lest, as the saying goes, those who do not or cannot learn from their history, especially where it is negative, are doomed to repeat it. Yes, we struggle for human rights, we struggle for justice, we struggle for equity, we struggle for civil rights, we struggle for our economic space. But having regard to where the African community is at this stage, there must be policies and programs designed not to generate a continuation of the inequity, but a conscientious policy position by those who are in government, and thank God people like myself are part and parcel of the current administration through the coalition of interests, and recognizing that we have to have political prowess, political power in order to insist on our space and place and peace. Peace here refer to the portion while we seek peace, P-E-A-C-E, peace, meaning that we can live in harmony without the animosity and the antagonism and the crime and criminality that we have seen. And unfortunately, again, the African community dominates. The African community dominates. We are in a state of emergency. And again, our African brothers and sisters are the ones that are occupying, or put another way, PDOs, protective detention orders, have been issued for, and they are there in custody wherever, whether in a police station or one of the established prisons of the country. That is a serious indictment on us, and as I said, specifically on the PNM, for having us in that kind of situation when they had ample opportunities over many decades to address, resolve, and make certain that we are in a position to compete with those who would have started out of the box after us. I remember very distinctly when I was growing up, the best lawyer, the best doctor was an African. The best school was CIC and Fatima and QRC. Let's face reality. The best schools now have shifted with the academic excellence to central, south of the country. While we still have per capita community, the most schools in terms of academic and educational institutions, the most developed infrastructure, but the social deterioration is one that today have caused PDOs to be issued in the majority for those of our kind. We have to become conscious. The paradigm shift is necessary. The attitudinal change is an imperative. Those of us who have acquired leadership position, and I put myself in that category, having of course created, having regards to what we have seen and having regards to the exploitative politics that the PNM would have engaged in over the years, particularly along the east-west corridor. There must be persons who are so conscious, who are so committed, who are so patriotic, who are so committed to the cause of the African diaspora and community, that will make the decision to say enough is enough, and therefore we must no longer countenance, we must no longer continue with that type of attitude. And as I've said before in closing, those who do not learn from their history are doomed to repeat it, particularly if the history is negative. In East Port of Spain, Lavatil, Beetham, Sealats, Belmont, Bova, Malik, parts of Barataria. All of us, after all, we gave the country its national culture, steel band, calypso. We were the ones that invented the only percussion instrument in the 20th century. And as we continue in the 21st century, all we are committed to and must be committed to is the consciousness that we have generations behind us, and that we ourselves in this space existentially, we are a generation too, and we must leave Trinidad and Tobago a better place. But more significantly, the African community must feel that it can rise to any level, as we have seen our counterparts in this cosmopolitan, multiracial, multi-religious, multi-ethnic society called Trinidad and Tobago. Once again, I hope you had a wonderful and incident-free Emancipation Day yesterday. And as we move forward, I look forward to interacting, because this particular station, this particular platform, the corridor transformation, will be reaching out to all community leaders in their respective communities. We use the technology so to do, as we develop the consciousness as never before. We have to come together on a perennial basis, and the technology provides that opportunity, and we will be rolling out a communication, a marketing, a association, interaction never seen before, as we pursue the renaissance for the re-emergence of the African community in Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful rest of the day.